What if I told you that Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of Egypt, the seductress of Rome, the woman who brought empires to their knees, was far more than a cunning strategist or a master of charm? What if beneath the veils of gold, politics, and poison, she held a power no history book dares to mention, a command over time itself? Time, that invisible river we all drift upon, helplessly carried from birth to death. We believe it is linear, inevitable, and fixed. But what if someone, long ago, learned to bend this river, to slip between its currents, to stand still while centuries rushed by? Could Cleopatra have been one of them? This isn't mere fantasy or pseudo-history. Buried within ancient scrolls, obscured beneath centuries of mistranslation and imperial editing, there are whispers, faint but persistent, of a knowledge Cleopatra possessed that defied the natural order. Symbols etched into the walls of her secret chambers. Rituals timed not by the sun, but by celestial alignments lost to modern science. Visitors to her court described her presence as otherworldly, as if time stood still around her, as if she knew what was yet to come. In this video, we are going to unearth a secret layered not just beneath the ruins of Alexandria, but beneath your understanding of reality itself. We will explore the hidden history of Cleopatra's alleged mastery of temporal manipulation. We'll journey into the cryptic teachings of Hermeticism, delve into the sacred geometry encoded in her temple designs, and decode the symbolic rituals that might have granted her the ability to step outside the flow of time. But this isn't just about Cleopatra, it's about you. Because if the last pharaoh of Egypt truly cracked the code of time, then perhaps the key isn't buried in the desert. Perhaps it's hidden in plain sight, waiting for those bold enough to search. So, stay with me as we begin this voyage beyond the borders of accepted history, into the esoteric, the forbidden, and the forgotten. The sands remember, the stars remember, and soon, you will too. To understand the extraordinary possibility that Cleopatra manipulated time, we must first abandon the rigid timelines of modern history and step into the world as the ancients saw it, not as a line, but as a circle. In the sacred philosophies of ancient Egypt, time was not merely a ticking clock. It was a living force, a divine cycle, endlessly spiraling through creation, destruction, and rebirth. Cleopatra VII ruled not only as a monarch but as a priestess, deeply initiated in the mysteries of Isis, the goddess of magic, rebirth, and time-bending resurrection. Isis, who resurrected Osiris, her dismembered husband, against the laws of life and death, was no mere myth. She was a symbol of transcendence. A being outside time, Cleopatra was not simply her devotee, she was her earthly vessel. Now, consider this. Cleopatra was the last of the Ptolemies, a Greek dynasty ruling over Egypt, and yet she was the only one who fully embraced Egyptian religion and mystery practices. She studied the lost Hermetic texts, many of which would later vanish in the fires of the Library of Alexandria. She was fluent in multiple languages, not just of the people, but of the stars, the rituals, the sacred rites. Hermeticism, named after Hermes Trismegistus, the fabled fusion of the Greek Hermes and the Egyptian Thoth, taught that all of reality is mind. As above, so below, it says. And hidden within its scrolls are secrets of time, space, and causality, viewed not as absolutes, but as illusions to be transcended. Now pause and ponder. Cleopatra was born into a dynasty obsessed with power, politics, and legacy. But unlike her predecessors, she delved into something far deeper. She reportedly kept an inner circle of mystics and alchemists, whom she protected from Roman influence. And within her private temples, she was said to perform rites that aligned not just with the moon or sun, but with planetary convergences whose effects spanned millennia. The ancient Egyptian concept of Zep Tepi, the first time, is also key here. It was believed that in the distant past, during a golden age, gods walked among mortals and time itself was different. By recreating specific alignments, rituals, and frequencies, one could return to that primordial moment, effectively stepping outside linear time. Cleopatra, with her unrivaled resources, access to ancient temples, and deep mystical training, may have sought to do just that. Moreover, the architecture of her reign contains anomalies. The Dendera temple complex, closely associated with Cleopatra and the cult of Hathor, features the enigmatic Dendera zodiac, a ceiling map of stars, planets, and cosmic alignments. Scholars puzzled over it for centuries. But those trained in sacred geometry recognize it as a temporal key, a device not for mapping space, but for unlocking specific windows of time. As Rome advanced with brute force, Cleopatra advanced with silence, ritual, and symbol. While generals drew battle lines, she drew sacred circles. While Rome chased conquest, she chased eternity. Could it be that she foresaw the fall of her empire, the death of Antony, and her own supposed suicide? Or did she, through her deep esoteric knowledge, stage a departure from history entirely? Perhaps her body died in 30 BCE. Or perhaps, she simply stepped out of time. To truly grasp how Cleopatra might have manipulated time, we must look beyond the physical into the symbolic. For in the ancient world, symbolism was not metaphor, it was machinery. A sigil was not just art, it was a circuit. A ritual was not just performance, it was a key. And time was not a jailer, it was a door. Let us begin with the idea of temporal manipulation itself. In modern science, time travel is a theoretical fringe, explored through quantum mechanics and wormholes. But in esoteric traditions, particularly those studied by initiates like Cleopatra, time manipulation was not about machines, but consciousness. Cleopatra, steeped in the Hermetic tradition, likely understood that time flows differently depending on the state of awareness. Imagine a dream. Minutes feel like hours, or hours like moments. Ancient mystics believed the waking world operated in a similar illusion. By shifting the consciousness, through ritual, frequency, and alignment, one could step into alternate time flows. The temple rituals Cleopatra is believed to have practiced were not mere religious acts, they were precision-engineered spiritual technologies. Each chant vibrated at a certain frequency, each geometric pattern created resonance fields within the physical body and the etheric field surrounding it. When synchronized with planetary alignments, these energies became amplified, capable of altering perception, fate, and yes, time. One specific practice points directly to this. The ancient Egyptian opening of the mouth ceremony was not only performed on the dead but also on the living during high initiations. Symbolically, it represented the unlocking of the divine voice, the word that commands time and space. The Logos. Cleopatra, as both a priestess and pharaoh, would have undergone this rite. Not once, but cyclically, as part of a larger mystery school practice tied to solar and lunar cycles. Let us now consider the architecture. The Dendera temple complex, which Cleopatra is closely associated with, is built upon specific energy grids, the Earth's telluric currents. These energy lines, when mapped with sacred geometry, form resonance points that amplify ritual effectiveness. At certain times of the year, when celestial bodies are in alignment, the temple becomes not a structure, but a gateway, a metaphysical time chamber. In fact, one of the most controversial features within this temple is the so-called Dendera light relief, a depiction of a mysterious bulb-like device emitting rays, held aloft by serpent-headed priests. Mainstream archaeologists call it mythological. Esoteric researchers, however, suggest it may depict a form of vibrational or plasma-based technology, linked to frequency and consciousness. A symbolic tool of illumination, not just of space, but of time. Cleopatra's use of sacred oils, perfumes, and elixirs, recorded meticulously in Roman and Greek accounts, was another key. These substances weren't merely cosmetic. They were alchemical compounds designed to activate specific glands within the body, most notably the pineal gland, considered the seat of perception beyond time. Combined with controlled breathwork and isolation in temple chambers, they induced states where time no longer behaved normally. The body would remain still, but the spirit could roam, forward, backward, or inward through time's veils. And then there's the mystery of her knowledge itself. Cleopatra was not only politically brilliant, she was uncannily prescient. She predicted Roman moves before they happened. She knew how to play the long game better than any of her male counterparts. This foresight, this perception, was it strategy? Or something more? Did she, through the Hermetic arts, glimpse probable futures, or even collapse multiple timelines to choose the optimal one? In Hermeticism, time is a wheel. What has happened will happen again. The initiate does not escape time. They learn to walk around the wheel while others are dragged along it. Cleopatra may have done just that. By understanding the cosmic patterns, through astrology, numerology, and ritual, she could surf time's waves while others drowned beneath them. And just like that, she was always one step ahead. If Cleopatra truly manipulated time, then the most haunting question becomes not how, but where did she go? History claims she died in 30 BCE, clutching an asp to her breast in a final act of defiance. But that death, shrouded in ambiguity, absent of witnesses, wrapped in a convenient narrative, feels more like a carefully scripted exit than a tragic finale. The body was never conclusively found. The tomb, lost, and with it, the woman who had once held empires captive. But perhaps the truth is more arcane. Perhaps Cleopatra didn't die. She vanished, slipping through a tear in the fabric of time itself. This is not an isolated theory. In ancient esoteric circles, there exists a concept known as temporal ascension. It describes the moment when a being, through precise spiritual alchemy, ceases to be bound by linear time. It is the same transfiguration attributed to Thoth, the god of wisdom, who was said to vanish into other dimensions after inscribing the emerald tablets. It mirrors the tale of Enoch, who walked with God and was no more. Could Cleopatra have joined their ranks? Let's revisit her connection to the gods. Cleopatra wasn't just a queen, she was considered a living goddess, the embodiment of Isis on earth. In the mystery schools of Egypt, it was believed that the fully awakened initiate could merge their identity with that of a deity, not metaphorically, but literally, through a transformation of the soul. When this occurred, the person could access the full memory of time, not just the past, but the echoes of the future. They became a node of cosmic intelligence, a being not of this moment, but of all moments. Ancient Egyptian initiation involved trials beneath the pyramids, in underground temples where time was said to dilate and compress. The initiate, surrounded by hieroglyphs etched with sacred vibrations, would face symbolic death, a separation of spirit and flesh. Many would not return, but those who did, came back changed. Cleopatra, with her devotion to these rites and access to the innermost chambers, likely undertook such a journey. It was not merely political survival she sought, but transcendence. Even her romance with Julius Caesar and later, Mark Antony, may have been more than strategic. In Egyptian mythology, the divine feminine must unify with the solar masculine to give birth to Horus, the transcendent child, symbol of the awakened soul. Perhaps Cleopatra was reenacting sacred myth to activate something ancient within herself. Every act, every alliance, every ritual, part of a larger esoteric blueprint to achieve temporal liberation. Let us now turn to an even more startling possibility, time looping. There are scrolls, barely translated, that suggest Cleopatra believed time was not a path but a labyrinth. A maze of interconnected moments, where one can, through intention and precision, loop back or forward to specific events. The Dendera zodiac, once again, plays a central role here. It's not a mere astrological calendar. It's a map of the great year, the 26,000-year cycle of Earth's precession. By aligning her consciousness with these macro cycles, Cleopatra could, theoretically, insert herself into specific nodes of history. Some believe she succeeded. Legends from Sufi mystics speak of a veiled woman of gold who appeared in Persia long after Cleopatra's supposed death, dispensing wisdom that seemed far ahead of its time. In Gnostic texts, there is mention of a queen oracle who held memories of the fall of Atlantis and the rise of Rome, hinting at a soul who has seen the turning of many ages. These may not be coincidences. These may be echoes. And here lies the paradox. Perhaps Cleopatra never left us. Perhaps she is still here, manifesting through different names, whispering through dreams, encoded in sacred geometry, reborn in the spirit of every seeker who dares to question time. What is Cleopatra, then? A woman, yes. A ruler, of course. But more than that, she may be a temporal archetype. A symbol of what is possible when the spiritual and scientific, the ritual and rational, the mythic and real, merge. The final priestess who cracked the illusion of time and used it not to dominate others, but to escape the cage that binds us all. And perhaps, if we walk her path with courage and devotion, we too may find the cracks in the clockwork, and step through. So what does this all mean for you? Here and now, in the age of machines and algorithms, far removed from the marble columns and golden anointments of ancient Egypt? It means this. If Cleopatra truly stepped beyond time, she did not do so with sorcery or science alone, but with inner mastery. And that same mastery remains within reach for those willing to turn inward, to remember what the soul has always known. You don't need a temple buried in the Nile Delta. Your temple is your body. Your rituals are your breath, your focus, your will. Time is not just the ticking of clocks, it is perception, and perception is yours to mold. Begin with your awareness. The mystics of old believed that one who controls their awareness controls their destiny. Try this. Once a day, stop everything. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply and slowly, in through the nose, out through the mouth. Let the world slow down. Let time stretch. You'll begin to notice a shift. Time becomes pliable. You're no longer reacting, you are observing. This is how Cleopatra began. Next, engage in intentional timing. Just as Cleopatra used celestial alignments, you can begin to work with natural cycles. Rise with the sun, not just to begin your day, but to tune yourself to the solar pulse. Meditate during the full moon. It heightens emotional awareness and thins the veil between inner and outer realms. Record your dreams during the planetary hours of Mercury and the moon, times long revered for their connection to memory, communication, and the hidden. Now, go deeper. Begin a practice of symbol recognition. Cleopatra understood that symbols were time capsules, packages of multidimensional meaning. Throughout your day, notice the symbols that recur: numbers, shapes, patterns. What do they whisper? Start keeping a symbol journal. Over time, these signs will create a personal codex, your own version of the Dendera zodiac, one that maps not the stars, but the secret corridors of your unfolding life. You may also begin crafting personal rituals. Choose sacred geometry as the foundation. Draw a circle, your timeless space. Mark it with 4 points, representing the 4 cardinal directions or the 4 stages of your life. Sit within this symbol and speak your intentions. The ancients believed that what is spoken with intention inside a sacred shape becomes etched in the fabric of time itself. And finally, cultivate temporal detachment. This does not mean ignoring your responsibilities. It means loosening your grip on fear, on control, on the anxiety of rushing. Walk slowly, speak with deliberation, eat with awareness. Cleopatra's power was not in acceleration, but in poise. Stillness. She created time by stepping outside of it. So can you. When life spirals, when chaos reigns, remember, you are not a prisoner of time. You are its sculptor, its witness, its silent partner. Cleopatra walked this path to become myth, but myth, when walked, becomes reality. So ask yourself, not what time is it, but what timeline are you choosing to live in? With breath, ritual, awareness, and will, you can enter the labyrinth. You can meet the goddess within. You can become timeless. And so, we return to the question that led us through the veils of myth, ritual, and mystery. Was Cleopatra a time manipulator? The evidence, woven through forgotten rites, cosmic architecture, symbolic language, and sacred consciousness, does not scream, it whispers. And in that whisper, there is power. She may not have built machines, but she crafted moments. She may not have traveled through wormholes, but she stepped through the folds of fate. Not with force, but with initiation. Not with clocks, but with consciousness. Cleopatra was more than history's enchantress. She was an initiate of time, a master of perception, a priestess of possibility. And whether she vanished into myth, rose into the stars, or dissolved into the eternal now, her presence remains. In symbols, in dreams, in you. For the true secret is not that Cleopatra manipulated time, but that you can too. Every decision you make, every breath you take with awareness, shifts your timeline. Every ritual you perform with sacred intent realigns your fate. The goddess does not live in stone statues or buried tombs. She awakens when you remember who you truly are. So as you leave this sacred space of storytelling and step back into your life, ask yourself, what timeline am I choosing? What reality am I creating with my energy, my words, my will? The ancient world is not behind us, it is within us, waiting to be reawakened. If this journey has stirred something within you, if the echoes of the past have found a voice in your present, then help us continue to explore the hidden, the mystical, the forgotten. Like this video if it opened your mind. Share it with a seeker you know. And subscribe to our channel for more revelations buried in time and soul. Thank you for watching. Walk gently, walk wisely, and above all, walk timelessly. Until next time, initiate.